Mount Everest, Peak K2, there are ancient gods embodied, enclosed in glass body chambers. According to allegations, Alexander the Great of ancient Greece had visited this area and seen these glass chambers. Alexander the Great, as we know, lived around 330 BC. The top of Mount Everest, Peak K2, in the 1850s, Lieutenant Colonel of the British Indian Colonial Army, Thomas George Montgomery, who lived between 1830 and 1878, took part in the so-called Great Trigonometric Exploration of the Indian region and the Himalayas. When the team arrived in the northern Pakistan area, specifically in the mountains of Karakoram, Montgomery on Mount Harmukh, which in local means the mouth of Lord Shiva, observed at a distance of about 210 kilometers two very high pyramid-shaped peaks protruding from the other areas of the mountain range. To these peaks he gave the names Peak K1 and Peak K2 to register them, and then he went to find out the names that the locals had for these peaks. Peak K1 was named Masser Broom. Masser Broom, there was an antiquity of one of the swirling multipliers of the Himalayan network. He learned from the locals that Masser Broom meant armed mountain or mountain weapon. Tradition has it that when the gods fought each other, a weapon system was installed in the Masser Broom. Brahm means mountain, that sent lightning in every direction and destroyed the enemies of the gods who possessed it. This reminds us of the lightning rod of Zeus, doesn't it? The Atlantean secret weapon that an Atlantean, an extraterrestrial, brought to Alexander the Great. Somehow Alexander the Great had possession of it, and a copy of it was later left in Nepal Buddhist monastery. His generals, Alexander the Great's generals, said that when they reached the end of China, across the street from Japan, they set up a pillar, a stele, a column, with the engraving stating that they had buried the secret weapon, the lightning rod of Zeus, in a safe area, and the copy of that is found in the Tibetan Buddhist monastery, and that it was safe. Now, such a story did not seem to Montgomery, as almost all the mountains of the Himalayan mountain range concerning this lightning seen in every direction that destroyed the enemies of the gods who possessed it. They brought similar traditions about the gods who once lived there, gods, quote unquote. The one that, obviously they were beings with very advanced ancient technology. The one that impressed him the most was that the other mountain, which he named K2, the K from Karakoram, did not bear any local name and was the incomprehensible mountain, as they called it, the mountain that they could find no name for. When he found out that the locals were avoiding talking to him about this mountain, he decided to find villages and camps in the valleys around the glacier that circled Karakoram in order to get more valid information. He found locals who were willing to talk to him about K2, but were reluctant to approach him, and K2 had no name. It was, according to tradition, the mountain of knowledge and the sanctuary of the gods. No one approached him so as not to disturb the gods. So they didn't dare to approach close to the mountain. No matter how many locals he asked, he got the same answer. K2 was a nameless mountain, so to this day, that's what it's called. It's called K2. In Ascoli, a small town, or rather a large village in the Braldu Valley, which is the last human settlement as you approach the mountains from the south, one can hear many strange stories about K2. So there, they say, is the quote-unquote Hall of Knowledge, where all knowledge of the Earth's past is located. It supposedly has a huge archive with everything that happened in all parts of our planet. if we decide to organize our thoughts with the help of the theory that, quote, there is no smoke without fire, end quote, we must ask ourselves who or what could make such a library or such a file with all the knowledge, scientific and historical, that even concerns our entire planet. With what technology did they do all this? This is not the strangest thing one hears from the locals, of course. There in K2, they say that the gods are quote-unquote asleep, immovable, and punished by the Great Spirit for their disobedience. This reminds us of the Emerald Tablets written by the Atlantean Thoth, right? He also describes that the Atlanteans were misusing their technology. They even had space travel and even interdimensional travel, and they were using this knowledge to bring in beings or entities that were malevolent to Earth and humans. And that it was by divine intervention that Atlantis was finally sunk and gotten rid of. But before that, a lot of Atlanteans had spread to other areas of the world and set up new cities with their technology. So who were these gods, and why were they punished, and by whom? Who was the stronger than the gods? Who were the strongest of the gods? The traditions of the people mentioned in the top of peak K2 want the gods immobile, in a stopped, suspended positions in the glass bodies, glass chambers, body chambers, in rest without knowing how long. Both the traditions of the peoples of Central Asia and Western Asia, as well as those of the Indians and the Arabs, say that Alexander the Great of ancient Greece had visited peak K2 of Everest, not so much to see the sleeping gods and to think that everything is in vain in this world, but to find in the file room of knowledge a great secret he was looking for. They even say that some sages led him in front of the glass chambers of these gods to calm his vanity and his despair to conquer the whole world, since even the gods who once ruled it did not have a good end trying to do this. And this is from an article in Greek, which I translated for you from Diadrastika. Please tell me what you think. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.